Chapter 1 Uchiha's Undead. You are listening at FameTV.info. In the dimly lit secret cave, an old figure sat on a large stone seat, with a simple but sharp-looking sickle standing upside down. This time, his eyes were on the person who came in. No, strictly speaking, he was looking at the kid who was being carried by the person who came in, and he didn't know if he was alive or dead. After looking at it for a while, the old man stared at the thing he had created with his only remaining eye. Although he did not open his mouth from beginning to end, the eye that clearly reflected the three hooks seemed to impose infinite pressure. The visitor was taken aback, and quickly explained loudly in a very bluffing voice. I have already dealt with the guys who entered the vicinity by mistake, but this child seems to be a little special. You have told me to pay attention to some people who have the seed of special talent, so I brought him back. The old man listened to the explanation of the white guy in front of him, and then withdrew his serious eyes. The oppressive feeling in the air immediately dissipated, and he returned to the image of a candle in the wind that seemed to die at any time. What kind of people are here? Has the tail been cleaned up? As the old man spoke slowly, the white guy hurriedly said, "It / s a ninja from the land of rock, and it seems that he is besieging the nearby village. The recent battle situation has begun to change in Konoha / s favor. I don't / know this time. The people of the rock country have come up with some bad idea to deal with Konoha. Talk about the point." After the old man heard the name Konoha, he directly interrupted the chatter of the other party. The guy in white was instantly stunned, and then hurriedly picked out the important ones and said, "Some people who escaped from the nearby villages happened to be chased into the vicinity by the chasers. It should be a coincidence, not a discovery." The old man nodded after hearing this, and didn't ask how the guy dealt with it after killing everyone. If he couldn't even do this little thing well, it meant that the other party was no longer worth using. What s wrong with this kid? As soon as he mentioned this child in his hand, the white guy immediately regained his escaping nature, and said exaggeratedly and excitedly, "I had already killed everyone, including the ninjas in the country of rock and those who were hunted down. The villagers, of course, also include this child, but when I was dealing with the battlefield, I suddenly discovered that this child did not die, but came back to life. Then I checked it out of curiosity, but I couldn't find out what caused his fatal wound to disappear, and he survived. I thought that Madara-sama might be a little interested in this kid, so I brought it with me." Return. After Baiju finished speaking, a trace of interest appeared in the eyes of the old man known as Madame Madara. For Baiju s beheading of both sides who broke into his territory, he didn't feel that something was wrong. This was what he ordered. According to normal circumstances, this child should not be able to survive, and Baiju will definitely not go against his will or deceive him. In other words, everything Baiju said was true. Baiju killed the child with his own hands, but when he was cleaning up the battlefield, he found that the child had survived, and even the fatal wound had disappeared, so he brought him back. Interesting. A slightly terrifying smile appeared on Madara s old face, and then raised his hand, signaling Baiju to bring the child over, and he wanted to check it out. If there is no suitable candidate on the day of his death, perhaps the child in front of him can give him another option. It's just a pity that the person who inherited his Madara s name is not from Uchiha s clan. So just wait, Madara s only remaining writing will I transplanted, seems to have penetrated the darkness, time and space, and came to the prosperous village. Hashiyama, I will prove to you that you have chosen an extremely wrong path. Head. It hurts. Where is this? In the dimness, a pair of eyes slowly opened, as if a little uncomfortable in such a dim environment, and it took more than a minute to be able to see the surrounding things clearly. Then, before he could speak, a memory that did not belong to him began to emerge, and then merged. It took a few more minutes before he figured out what had happened to him. I really can imagine that this street crossing scene can still happen to me. Through the memories of just a few years in his mind, he has probably guessed which world he has traveled to: village, ninja, 5 kingdoms, chakra, ninjutsu. Although his body was only 4 years old and came from a small village, he still had some common sense memories. So, after reading those memories, it is not difficult for him to deduce that the world he is currently in should be that dangerous Naruto world. As an ordinary post-.90s generation who used to read novels and anime, he is still familiar with the names of the 3 major migrant workers in the Dead Fire Sea. As for Naruto, which has already ended, he naturally sees it from the beginning to the end. What are you saying? Hokage ISN /T over.em? Sorry, Yu reading www.yuyukangshu.com. Bloggers can /T take it anymore, it just ruins the 3 views, so let /S forget it. And he himself was so unremarkable before the time. Travel. He was not a soldier king, nor a great doctor or a secret agent. He was just an ordinary post.90s generation with divorced parents and a bit of a quirky personality. As for his last memory before he crossed over, it wasn't /T a conventional car accident, a lovelorn, drinking to death, electric shocks and the like. In fact, he was speechless and unlucky. It was only 2020, and before the spring festival, he had been working normally for a few days before he caught a cold for no reason and was sent to the hospital. But before he could figure it out. As a result, I opened my eyes and came here. Very sad that it seems that the current way of crossing is becoming more and more casual. You can cross even if you have a cold. It is worth these street riders who can /T even afford mustard when they eat steamed buns all the time, but fortunately, he didn't /T care too much. Divorced parents have formed their own families. If they have new children, even without him, there will be someone to care for them. As for the relationship, there is nothing to give up, because he was brought up by his grandmother since he was a child, and his grandmother had already I have had a girlfriend or something. After several years of savings and more than 100,000 borrowed, I barely paid a down payment. Unfortunately, I only paid a month /S mortgage, and I haven't /T had time to live. After hurriedly reviewing his life, he suddenly felt an indescribable relief. Perhaps it would be good to change to a new way of life. From today onwards, I will live in your name, Shinomiya Chinyu. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.